Bill York's World.
Hello and welcome to Bill York's World. We're delighted to have you on board today, and we have another good program for you. We have over the years been involved with some great folks in the Chamber of Commerce here in Plymouth, but also over the years it's been involved with all kinds of different smaller chambers, and over the years the conversation has always been, gee, maybe we should be looking at merging some of these chambers. And guess what? It's just about to happen. And my guest is Scott Stevens, who was with me today. Scott, welcome.
Well, thanks, Bill. Thanks for having me here.
It's nice to have you here. You bet. Scott is the executive director of the Plymouth Regional Chamber of Commerce, but very soon to become the Central New Hampshire Chamber of Commerce.
Correct. Yeah. We're happy this could come about. It's been a long time in the making, depending on who you talk to. I mean, some of the senior businesses in the region that's saying we've been talking about this, for 25 years, and it's nice to finally see it happen for us. The conversation started just back in October of this year between some of the board members of the Plymouth Regional Chamber and also of the Pemi Valley Chamber, which was the Waterville Valley Chamber of Commerce. And very quickly, it just all came together, and we've been on the go ever since. And briefly after that meeting in October, some of the folks down in the Squam Lakes Region Chamber wanted to have the conversation as well. And then as soon as we did that, they immediately came on board. So by December, we were off and running and had all three organizations ready to go and moving forward. And here we are now within about 6 weeks of this launching by May 1st of this year. So,
boy, that's really quite something. It is interesting because that does go back a long time.
Sure.
And it was interesting because one of the things that it makes me curious is that the different chambers have a different focus.
Correct.
For example, Waterville Valley, I'm sure, is more focused on tourism. Yours, the Plymouth, would be probably more focused on business and development and
Correct.
quality of lifetime kinds of things. How do you work around that?
Well, what we are working towards and we're really want to keep the focus on is the 5 distinct regions that we're covering. The Newfound area, Baker Valley area, Plymouth, Squam Lakes, and the Waterville Valley area. And they are different, each have their own identity, and we're consciously working towards, in our marketing especially, and our branding on our new website that's being worked on right now, that we do keep each of those areas having their distinct identity. And we're looking to the Central New Hampshire Chamber of Commerce basically as the overall umbrella group of these 5 distinct regions. I mean, the analogy we use sometimes is in the larger corporate world, like Marriott. Well, they have a lot of varieties and layers of different types of places you could stay at within the Marriott brand. Well, this is the same thing. The Central New Hampshire Chamber will just be the overall encompassing area or organization of these 5 regions, and we'll do marketing and branding for each of those areas, just so everybody can keep their identity and their flavor going. So.
Yeah, interesting. So, are you going to have representatives from each one of the chambers on your board?
Correct.
Or how are you going to set that up?
Yeah, we distinctly made that effort in the bylaws. Initially, the way the chamber is launching, because we went out to distinctly start a new organization. So we didn't want to get into the merger piece of just one of us was evolving into something else. We made the decision to distinctly start a brand new Chamber of Commerce and had an agreement from each of the boards of the 3 founding chamber boards that they would join this new organization. So to start it out that way. And we're breaking the new board down to make sure we do cover each of the 5 regions equally with equal representation of 2 members from each of those 5 regions, and then 5 at-large members as well from the greater community, from bigger groups or organizations that may encompass, multiple areas within the regions that we're covering.
Yeah.
So we'll have a 15-member board and one representative as well representing the university, because that was something Pemi Valley Chamber and Plymouth Chamber both had representation from the university, and we felt that was important to carry that forward as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I would think that the university in particular is a real asset for you, as you merge, and, the input from the university, and they're pretty big players in a lot
Correct.
of things that go on.
And they have been from the start. When I came on board a little over 5 years ago now to direct the Plymouth Chamber of Commerce, that was an important partnership for me to develop and to grow over the years. And now, there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not working with somebody from the university in some capacity or another. So that's a very, very important relationship we have in a lot of different areas, whether it's directly working with students as work-study students or interns, or working with the professors that provide some of our educational programming. That's just an important part, for us to have that relationship and work in a lot of other different ways behind the scenes, and things that are going on. And also things that the university is trying to accomplish, out in the community too. We're a resource for them, so it works both ways.
Sure,
which
sure.
is real nice.
Yeah, well, I noticed that one of the things that I've enjoyed over the years has been your brown bag lunches,
Sure.
for example, that you do each month. So that will be, again, an important part. And obviously the university folks have been very involved in that, with some of the folks presenting the
obviously,
different
yeah.
classes and
Yeah,
things.
they've been very generous, with their time and the outreach that they've been able to provide for me. And it's basically one-stop shopping. I need something, I just make the call, and somebody's usually there to say, sure, we'll come and do that for
Oh,
you.
man,
And
isn't
then
that
mix
nice?
it with some of the other things that we're doing with some of the other businesses that participate in that. But again, the university's been a huge asset, to the chamber.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago when I think it was called the Small Business Institute used to get involved in work with some of the newer members of the chamber.
Correct.
And some of their students, helping them with business plans and that sort of thing. And boy, what an asset that is.
Well, that still exists and is run now out of the Enterprise Center at Plymouth, the new building right on the Rotary on Main Street, and Michael Tentnowski heads up that program for the university there. We have a great partnership developed with the Enterprise Center, and the services that they're able to provide dovetail really nicely with what we've been doing over the years with the chamber and things, and they've pretty much taken that piece of it over, which is nice. But they're bringing in different levels of expertise with the folks that they're working with and partnering with SBA and with SCORE and with other groups out there, bringing in a whole other level of expertise
Sure.
to our local business community.
Sure. Now, this whole new chamber is going to be located in the Enterprise Center?
No, the headquarters for it is going to be the Pemi Valley facility at Exit 28.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, that building there. I mean, since that's a known entity as far as a visitor information center and the office space that is there, we made the decision that would be the base, headquarters and offices for the chamber as well. So that's where we'll be located and covering the entire region. But again, with our relationship with the Enterprise Center and with others in the region, we'll have access to other facilities throughout the region to hold meetings and our brown bag luncheons and
Sure.
things like
Boy,
that.
that really does. That opens up a huge geographical area for you, as you look at all these different chambers and their locations and that sort of thing. So that'll be interesting too.
Correct. Yep.
So as you have different programs going on, perhaps you'll be able to have, one of the smaller chambers hosted and kind of move things around.
Well, that's the goal we've been trying to work towards, and we'll continue to try to work towards with some of the informational pieces that we'll be doing, is try to take the show on the road a little bit, as how we put it, rather than doing them all out of one central location. And the Enterprise Center has been good in doing that since they got started, taking some of their program things out and doing them in other communities and things. So we're gonna continue to work with them and try and do that the best we can, and do different things in different parts of the region that we're covering.
One of the things too, as we're chatting here, you will see a piece regarding the new Central New Hampshire Chamber, and in particular the logo,
Sure.
which is very interesting. So as we're sitting here chatting, you'll be looking at some of those things, and it's actually a promo that you did for the new chamber, and showing some of the scenery and that sort of thing. But the logo itself is really unique.
Sure. What we did, we developed this short little video as a presentation that we recently did at the Taste of Central New Hampshire, which just happened this past week. And in it, it gives a little bit of a glimpse of some of the target marketing and tourism marketing that we have in store. And at the same time, give the first public presentation of the new logo and the new identities that we have created as well for the 5 regions that we're covering. So that was important for us to do and find different ways to start getting the word out. Even though we're still in development with some things like our website, we could at least get the logo out. People start to see that now and start to recognize that as well. So now that is out there, we can start to get some of the other pieces going and in place and follow up with some of the other work that's being done.
Yeah. Have you got any kind of a policy yet on how the different members, is that going to change their dues structure, for example, when you have now just the Central New Hampshire Chamber, or how is that
For some of the members, yes, it's going to be a new package for them. The Plymouth Regional Chamber last year totally revamped our whole dues package and structure there, and we took the step into what we call a tier membership program. It's no longer based on your business size or number of employees. It's based on the value you're looking for from the chamber organization. So it doesn't matter whether you have 1 employee or 100 employees. You can invest at the level that you're comfortable with, and in turn receive those level of benefits. So it's no longer in essence penalizing you for growing your business, because after all, from a chamber perspective, that's exactly what we want you to do.
Sure.
So just as you grow doesn't mean you're going to have to invest more money necessarily if it doesn't fit your business model or your marketing plan. But at the same time, it allows some of the bigger businesses to be selective and choose from the menu of options that really enhance their business and make that level of investment with what the chamber is doing. So the Plymouth Regional Chamber businesses have seen that for a year, and it's now the other businesses that'll be joining from the other organizations that will be reintroducing that to them. The goal there too is to have some informational meeting sessions coming up in mid-April to go over that with anybody that does have any questions and explain the process a little bit, because it is a little bit different than the normal business model, again, based on your number of employees size, but also explain some of the benefits, some of the tourism marketing goals that we have in mind and do. And that was probably one of the biggest reasons with consolidating all the chambers, is to leverage some of those abilities that we'll now have as one unified organization. I mean, because we're consolidating, obviously, administrative staff and things like that, and many businesses won't have to join multiple chambers to get some of the level of exposure that they were hoping before.
Right.
So now we can take some of those dollars and leverage them to do some real targeted tourism marketing plans out there, which quite a number of them we have ready to go. It's just a matter of time and waiting for the right time to put those in place and get it going out there. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that's
from our
interesting.
perspective.
Yep, that brings up an interesting point, because I know in my own experience, when you're marketing into different areas, that we were always looking, well, then we better join this chamber and we better join this one.
Right.
And you wound up so that you were actually members of 3 in my memory that we were in.
Yep.
And so this really is a very efficient way to do things.
Sure.
But it would seem to me that it also brings the business into a much closer relationship with you. When we join, we're looking to partner with you now. And so many times you would hear people say, well, what does a chamber do for me?
Sure.
Well, now, that thought is right up in the forefront of things. This is why we want to be part of you, and we're investing because this is what we want. We want to get out of the chamber and how much we want to be involved with you.
Exactly, because that's really where the tier membership program is driving at. You get to pick and choose how you want to be engaged, with the chamber. If you're just looking, for the basics, then I want to be listed on your website and that's it. Well, there's a level for that. But if you want a little more involvement, a little more marketing, and participate in some of the new tourism marketing plans that we're going to have in place here or whatever, there's an opportunity for you to do that as well. But it's basically you're dealing with one overall organization now and not have to worry about how can I best spread my dollars out
Sure.
and satisfy all these other groups at the same time. Now
Yep.
it's just in one place, and we can work closer together with the businesses that want to do those kinds of things.
Yeah, boy, that seems like a real efficient, good way to do things. And I'm sure it's much easier, as a business owner or as a marketing director to say, this is what I want.
Sure.
I only have to join one chamber, but I can take advantage of all of these different situations where it can help me and invest, as you were saying, in the level that I want to become involved.
Well, and it also helps too with the smaller businesses that are out there and the ones that really want to, that their focus is more the business-to-business marketing that they wanted to do. A lot of the small businesses that are, sole proprietor or, just family owned and things like that may not have had the resources to join multiple chambers.
Yep.
Well, now with still just joining one chamber for the same price they were joining one chamber before, now they have that greater exposure to all the other members in the entire region and didn't have to, worry about, okay, I couldn't join that chamber, so I'm going to lose that community or that region, that we all live in and work in and things like that. But now they'll be exposed to all that as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It seems like years ago, when all of this, actually some of the chambers were in their infancy, I should say, there were a lot of mom and pop businesses and very small businesses. Do you still see a lot of that, or have most of the businesses kind of grown and are doing fairly well now? In your new members, do you have a lot of? I guess the best question is, with your new folks that come in,
Sure.
are they primarily established businesses, or do you still have a lot of people coming in that are just getting started and are looking to you for leadership and suggestions?
Well, you have
on
that.
how
Yeah,
these
it is a real cross. A lot of what our base membership is small business. Let's say 10 or fewer employees, and that's a large part of it. Another big piece of it is the nonprofits. As you know, with your involvement too with nonprofits, we are very nonprofit heavy in this region, as
Sure.
is a lot of New Hampshire actually. But for this area, with the university town and things like that, and other amenities in our area, it is still very high end on the nonprofit sector. So easily 2/3 of our businesses are, small business or nonprofit, and then the other third is medium, to the larger size, businesses in the region. So it is a different mix than what you may find in some of the, bigger cities and more populated areas around New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So it gives some other challenges that are out there. But as far as the new businesses that's always coming about, that's always refreshing to see that people are still willing to take that risk and take that jump out there. And obviously, yes, they are coming to the chamber for assistance or guidance or where to go. And we tried to position ourselves over the years to be the go-to spot. We may not have all the answers for you at our fingertips, but we're going to point you in the right direction, who to talk to. And again, that's where our relationship with Enterprise Center at Plymouth is a vital partner in what we're doing, because that's where a lot of the handoff gets done, and that's exactly what they're here to do, is to work with people hand by hand and day to day on getting those kinds of things done. So.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about, one of the interesting programs actually that I just had the pleasure to speak to not too long ago, was the Leadership Academy program. And that seems to be a great program for forming folks that are going to be kind of taking control
Sure.
of things and growing into their businesses, and that seemed like a great seed program and a great base for a lot of folks that will find themselves in leadership positions,
Sure.
if they haven't already.
That was an important piece for us to start, and it actually came about pretty organically. I had the good fortune of being part of the state program, Leadership New Hampshire, back in the class of 2013. And during that year, which ran from September through May, we were driving back from one of the sessions with one of my classmates, Ty Gagney, who lives in Holderness, was ex-chief of police over in Holderness
Sure.
as well, and now
Yep.
works for Primex down in Concord. But we were coming back from one of the sessions and reflecting on the day and some of the things that we've been talking about so far, and pretty much came to the conclusion it's like, okay, there's other regional leadership programs in the area, because Lakes Region has one, Upper Valley has one, Mount Washington Valley has one, but here we are sort of in the center of all that, and there isn't one in this region. And he said, why don't we get one started? And it's like, of course, once we thought about all the topic areas that we were covering from the state program that we were going through, it's like, of course, we have all those sectors right here in our region. And he said, this would be a great thing, he says, for the chamber, just, again, to be the umbrella for this and
Sure.
try and make this happen. So we put together a little outline, ran it by some of the senior business leaders in the community, and said, could you support this, and do you think it's a great idea? Well, obviously, everybody said, sure, let's get behind this and do this. So we launched the first class in September of 2013. They went through the session and graduated May of 2014, and we're now winding down our second year, and this current class will graduate here in May of this year. And so it's been a good program, and it's really growing your own leadership from within and getting people more familiar with the region and how our region works in all the different sectors. And you learn very quickly, we don't work in silos, anymore, fortunately, how interconnected we all are in many ways, and in many things that we do on a day-to-day basis has been very vital for people. And it's built up just in this short time with people really branching out and doing other things that probably, before they started this class, didn't think they had the capacity, or the ability to do, but they're stepping out and they are
Yeah.
getting involved and engaged
Yep.
in the community. And that's exactly what it's about.
Yeah,
So,
I was amazed in the group that I spoke to, that there were varied folks, varied occupations, but from different areas too.
Yep.
And you could almost see, the interest peak, because
Sure.
I think that day that I was there were 3 or 4 of us that were talking about completely different types of things.
exactly.
And you could see the interest there, and people thinking, "Gosh, I didn't know that,"
Sure.
And so you could just see kind of the light going on, and it was a fascinating thing to.
Well, that's
to
the
work
beauty
with.
of it, because the mix in the class, is people that, all different age groups. From your 20-somethings, on up to our vintage. And,
Yep.
and, obviously a mix of male and female, and some are, beginning management. Some of them are senior management in their actual careers as well. Plus, as far as how long they've been in the region, has been a mix from people. Some have just moved here for job relationships and things like that, to others that have been born and raised here. Mm-hmm. And the neat thing has been, over these 2 classes that we've had, everybody has a takeaway that they get out of this. Especially the ones that, and it surprised me, in the first class we had, there was a couple people that were basically, if they weren't born and raised here, they were here since they've been a kid in school
Yeah.
and stuff, but have stayed and raised their family here now. We're learning things that they never realized was really happening in our community and things. And that's an important piece of that. Obviously, the people that have just been here, within a year or 2 or whatever, are learning everything brand new. But when you have somebody that's spent, basically 40 plus years here and stuff, and said, wow, I never knew that was happening in my very own community.
Yeah.
And things, it is a good thing, because it's exactly what the program is intended to do, is to make you aware and open up your eyes.
It seems like over time, you're really looking right at years ago, which was one of the problems that we had, was that the kids would graduate from school here and go.
Sure.
And, you know, it was an exodus. And it was the same type of thing. Boy, as soon as I'm out of school, I'm out of here. And I'm sure in a lot of communities, that's still the same way.
Sure.
But obviously, you're working to kind of curb that. And it seems as though that may very well be working.
Well, that's an ongoing challenge, obviously, with New Hampshire at large, as well as keeping young talent here and around. And maybe if this is one small piece that can make that happen and get people aware of things that are going on, you know, so much the better. I mean, that's all what we're trying to do. I mean, the university is trying to do that as well, keep
Sure.
graduates here. That's a goal of the Enterprise Center. This past month, actually, it is the first student managed or owned business is moving into the Enterprise Center.
Really?
Just seeing the opportunity, I don't have to leave to get my business off the ground, and sign the lease here just a couple of weeks ago, that's kind of neat. You know, it's nice we can use the students for internships. Some of them have already gotten jobs at the Enterprise Center with the businesses that are there, but here we have a student saying, no, I'm going to start a business, and is moving into the Enterprise Center to do that. So
that's neat.
yeah.
That is really cool. I wanted to talk to you briefly about your relationship with some of the other agencies. For example, the Grafton County Economic Development Council. And there's a lot of agencies that can certainly work together, and obviously you
Sure.
are.
That
with
was
some of these
important
type
to
of
me, in being the director for the chamber, was branching out outside of our normal footprint and community, and get engaged in different things countywide and statewide. And yeah, Grafton County Economic Development was huge in that, and they're the owners of the Enterprise Center building. So I've been privileged to be a part of that since its inception, and things and ideas that how we're going to use this facility, and what purpose is it going to serve for the community at large. But then other groups within the region and at the town level as well. There's a couple of economic development groups that have started up at the town level, one of them in Bristol, one of them in Ashland, that their select boards have asked me to be part of, and I've been glad to be a part of both of those. There's another one on getting ready to form soon in another community, which is good. So the more that we can get involved and get engaged at different levels as the chamber, and on behalf of the business members and things, is a good thing, because people now are challenged in so many ways in running their own business. They don't have the time or the resources to go out and do all those other things, and that's what I took on the responsibility. It's like, okay, the chamber will take that on, and we'll be the advocate, obviously, for the business community, and get involved at those levels, whether it's here or it's in Concord, and dealing with our state representatives and folks like that as well. So
Yeah, that really does. That encompasses an awful lot of people, and the more you talk about it, and as I mentioned, being an advocate, what a critical thing that is for the small business owners, and the new members to the chamber, for
Sure.
example, to realize that I have an advocate here. Because if I can't go to some hearing in Concord, or I can't go to something in Haverhill, or whatever it might be,
Right.
that perhaps there'll be a representative from the chamber there that I can say, gee, what happened, and is that good for me?
Sure.
Is there something here that I should be interested in?
And just to be part of that that group, and have those connections and everything, because very quickly, I mean, you find out in New Hampshire how quickly you can get connected to people,
Yeah.
if you choose to to stay into that loop,
Yeah.
and things. And that's something I work really hard at, on staying involved with local representatives and senators and counselors and things, and making sure you're part of the information that's going out there, so you can share it then with the membership, and other things that are going on that obviously involve this community and these regions and things, and is the concern of the other groups out there, whether it is working with DRED, Department of Economic Development, with the state, or working with tourism with the state at the state level, and things like that. Again, those are things the average business doesn't have the time and capacity
Sure.
to get involved at that
Yeah.
level and things. So that's what we're here for.
Yeah, yeah. What a great thing for people to know, and I'm sure our viewers will find this to be fascinating. And I think a lot of times people are aware that the chamber's there, but they're not aware of what you guys are doing.
Sure.
You know, and how involved you are with all of these things. And again, to be an advocate, you know, we're here for you.
Exactly.
And to get these things done and to assimilate this information and pass it on to you, you know, with things that will be important to you.
Well, and it works both ways too with the other communications that we do and with our website, our community calendar that we have on there. That's an important piece of what's happening within the region. And there too, we're supportive of different events that are going on with different groups and different organizations. And as long as they get us the information, we'll make sure it gets posted on the calendars and gets out there and communicated the best that we can to the rest of the local community and things, which we fortunately have worked our way into that as being an area that we can communicate what's happening for them and just keep spreading the word, you know, and that's just been an important piece of it and of what we've been doing, and people take advantage of that, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's been interesting on your website, on the Plymouth Chamber's website, breaking it down by the day
Sure.
and by the hour.
Sure.
So, you know, depending on what your schedule is, you can always find something that's going on day or night.
Well,
by
and
the
that's
day.
the idea. And one of the other collaborations we started early on with that calendar was also partnering with Lincoln Woodstock Chamber of Commerce and sharing their calendar of events as well. By using the same Google Calendar platform, we're able to share other information. So we're in essence sharing events and happenings from exit 23 north through the Notch. And that's a lot of real estate
That is
for
a lot of
anybody
real estate.
visiting in this area or just living here and saying, okay, what are we going to do this weekend? Well, take a look. I mean, at any given time, there's, you know, dozens of things happening virtually every day that you can get involved in and do
Yeah.
in the area. So from a promotional end of it, that's a very easy thing we were able to do, but it's, you know, been very effective as well for both of us. And
Yeah.
there too, that's another partnership that we've nurtured over the years and working and cooperating with, you know, other chambers in the area. We do some things with Lakes Region Chamber as well, a little bit more on the educational sharing and side of that on things, but that's important because it really strengthens what we're trying to do in our
Sure.
message here.
Yeah, one of the other really neat programs that we have been involved in over the years is the Business After Hours.
Sure.
And what a great asset that is, you know, to be able to go and visit these different businesses and see what they do and meet their people, you know, and that will even be more obviously expanded now as you're dealing with 5 different chambers all coming together with
Sure.
their memberships.
And that is, and it's a great tool for people because it really lets you network at the, you know, business to business level. Even though we're a small knit community, and a lot of times, pretty much everybody knows who everybody else is. But the things that happen sometimes that you just see happen naturally is that's what it's all about. I mean, because you may know who that person is, but because you're so busy, you didn't pick up the phone to call them or drop them an email, but you run into them at one of these events, all of a sudden some piece of business went down. Well, that
yeah.
went down because you took the time, you know, to spend that half hour or 45 minutes just stopping by at one of the business after hours and running into somebody. Or if you're a new business in the area or branching out into a different area, that's a great way to communicate and get the message out too, because not everybody is following every piece of information. As much as we would like to think that everybody's reading everything we're pumping out
Yeah.
there, you know they're not.
Right.
But it's only because
Right.
you ran into somebody at an event like this that you could say, oh, I didn't know you were doing that. I'm
Sure.
glad I ran into you.
Yep. Networking really is the key.
Sure.
I mean, that's what it's all about, and we all try to do it.
Sure.
And you know, you try to meet as many people in different venues as you possibly can, because that's really the key to. And I think New England is famous for that too, and maybe even New Hampshire.
Right.
Because we love to get together and chit chat.
Sure.
And boy, so much information takes place and is transferred. Is exactly what you were saying. You know, we've heard that a number of times, and especially with Habitat, and especially with Live Free Home Healthcare, same thing. You know, oh gosh, I didn't realize, and
Well, it just
creates
gives you that
conversations.
opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one, it's just not the business that's hosting it. I mean, that's obviously an important piece of it, and everything, or somebody that they may bring into it as well. What we're finding now is more businesses collaborating together on the business after hours and co-hosting it with somebody else, or allowing somebody other regional business to maybe do the food piece of it or whatever. Well, that gives
Sure.
them exposure, as well at these kinds of events. But at the same time, it gives other people reason to come out and see what is going on out there.
Yeah. That's very true. This is most interesting. I hope our viewers, especially folks that are involved in the chamber and want to get more involved. But I think if I were watching this on the outside, I would be saying, this is something for me.
Sure.
And this is something for my business, and this is important. And I like to tell people all the time, when you look at chambers and you look at some of these other things, they're not expenditures, they're investments.
Exactly.
And
that's
it's a
really
big part in what you're doing.
That's really the way to look at it, because we're investing it right back into the community, everything we're doing, and even more so we will now in the future. To be able to have a real marketing budget is going to be huge, because independently, none of the chambers had enough resources and talent on their own to make anything happen. But now, because we're combining everything, those resources are going to be there. The talent is there, and the input, has been very valuable in the few months that we've been developing all this already. And we're really excited, because there is a lot of things just off in the wings and the side, just waiting to happen now as we get things going. One of them is going to be our new website, which will be up by the end of April as well. We're very anxious to get that out there to the public, because we're going to be doing some very different things that normally chambers don't do with their
Really?
website, from marketing and the approach and the usability of it. So we're excited to get that launched, and that'll just dovetail into some of the other targeted tourism and destination marketing that we so vitally need to do for this region. We'll now be able to do those things.
Yeah.
So
Websites have become such an important part of any business, I think. And especially with what you folks are doing.
Sure.
To really help to get everything going. So how does somebody get in touch with you if they want more information about what's going on?
Sure. Well, the easiest thing is to drop an email to info@centralnh.org. That's our main email address for the new chamber. And that's the easiest way. The chamber website will be centralnh.org. So keep an eye out for that coming out in the next month or so. But in the meantime, you could still follow us through the Plymouth Chamber, connections and websites and information there, because we're going to be cross-pollinating everything in the next couple of weeks as we go through these growing pains and awkward times of, okay, who's who here yet? We're in that phase right now of, okay, what name do I use, or how do I answer the phone, and things like that. But that'll all be worked out here in the next couple of weeks.
Great.
But will be easy to find.
Super.
So, yep.
Scott Stevens, it's been a pleasure having you, old
Thank you,
friend.
Bill. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. It's always good to see you. And we hope that you have enjoyed this program. Lots of good information. Watch the websites as Scott was giving you, and we'll watch this develop. And once again, I hope that you have enjoyed this program. And on behalf of Bill York's World, I'm Bill York. And thanks for watching.